I'm doing my level best to keep my tongue in check. But some things need to be said. When I came onto YouTube back in 2020, it was just basically to share some of my gardening and stuff like that. And after COVID, I didn't really do anything with the channel. And then I made a career change. I went from trucking to detailing. And I wanted to document my journey. I thought, you know what, this will be fun to see how I do, how I learn this, how I go through the problem solving, which is really what detailing is. You are solving problems for people, but then you've got a problem of your own and you have to solve that problem. So it's kind of like a double whammy. So my channel became a lot more than I expected it to become, which is fine. I've learned to just embrace it. And then I started getting into the detailing community. Sort of, kind of. And as soon as I did, I realized this was not the place I was going to fit into. Number one, I'm not pretty. Number two, I am not the kind to just sit down and take the crap from the big names. Okay? I'm not going to do it. And then I knew I wasn't going to fit in because I wasn't going to bow down to this insatiable need to do things their way, do things with their products, do this, do that, blah, 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 blah. But I still kept going because in the end, my channel was about documenting my journey. I have been threatened. I have been told off. I have been cursed. I have been pushed out because I won't bend the knee to this particular set of rules that, when you really stop and think about it, are not necessary in the first place. All we're doing is complicating the process. Okay? As far as rinseless washing, for example, to kind of give a little bit of an idea, a rinseless wash in the detailing community should take you about 2 hours. Rinseless washes are made with surfactants. They have so many different things that protect the paint and all of that. The products, as far as the washing products, your mitts and things like that, the way that you do a rinseless wash, what you're doing a rinseless wash on, these are all factors that they don't consider. They just say that a rinseless wash is better and it's easier in those inconvenient times, and it should take you a long time. Otherwise, you're not doing it right. The fact of the matter is, the products are made that it should only take you 15, 20 minutes for one car. That's it. But rather than fall behind what they're saying, and, the makers of these products, they're trying to cover their ass that you really can't protect the paint from scratching and all of that with any product. So in order to compensate for that, rather than say, I have a product that, okay, you're going to get some scratches or something, they're micro scratches or whatever. No, you need to take 2 hours to do your rinseless wash. No, you don't. And I defied all of that because I was working on dealership cars. And the scratching that's going to come into play is so micro. This is not something that's going to affect the appearance of the car in the long term, because it's not a car that I'm doing all the time. So in the end, I realized that they couldn't stand behind their product. Because if they could, they wouldn't tell me this is how it needs to be done to prevent the things that they claimed their product prevented. In the end, rinseless washes are great. because when you do a rinseless wash, you can you don't have to have that water source, which was my situation. I also found that in the end, rinseless washes were all the same, straight across the board. They were all the same. And it all came down for me to one product did the job, and it it was okay. I mean, the one product is all I needed. I didn't need to help make all these other companies and all these other white labels all this money. When I found a rinseless, I went with it, and all was good. A rinseless product, if you've got that much faith in your product, you should have no problem telling your people, just wash it carefully, and it should only take you about 15-20 minutes. When I followed the rules, it was taking me an hour and a half to 2 hours to do one car. And I'm not talking big cars either. I'm talking Ford Focuses, Chevy Malibus, little Mazdas, Mazda 3s. Come on. 3.5 years later, I've had to move away from the detailing because I'm not detailing for the public anymore. I'm only detailing little bits here and there for my dad. So now the content you see is more based on family, just vlogging our everyday, you know what I mean? And then we focus on our lives on the weekends. And 90% of the detailing community is men. This is the exact proof that I have always said drama comes from men. Women just react differently to it. And so then we take the fall for being the drama queens, okay? But we're not the drama queens. This is men. Men do this in regular every day. They don't realize it. They really don't realize it. And they are all about the drama. And the detailing community showed that so well to me over 3 years. It was unbelievable. I thought, oh my God, these people cannot be serious. They cannot be serious that they're going to start this stupid drama and we're going to be okay with it. Oh, they did. They love drama. So I wake up today to more drama. Lots of drama. So then I had to make a couple of phone calls and say, what's going on? The fact of the matter is this. I'm going to put this out there the way I see it, because I do still follow some channels. The channels that I follow are not the people that want to be involved in the drama, but they have no problem calling it out sometimes. I think they should call it out more, but that's not for me to decide, you know. If a detailer, if YouTubers try your products and you are the maker of products and you claim that these chemists are doing this and these chemists are involved, no, they're not. You can't afford that crap. Already looked into it. And I'm pretty sure you can't afford that crap unless you mortgaged off your house 2 or 3 times. This is all white label bullshit. That's the facts. It's all white label. And the reason that I say it's white label is because so many are doing it. You can't tell me that all these people are mortgaging off their house 2 or 3 times. You can't tell me that they have houses that have that kind of equity in them. And I did it just as research, because I'm like, really? There's only one that I could possibly maybe get on board with. Maybe he got a chemist because he's made a lot of friends. But, and he's got a lot of subscribers and made a lot of money. But the fact of the matter is that most of them, it's all white label. Every single bit of it. But I've noticed that these people who create these brands, the first thing they did when they first created their brands is, you know, don't you dare say anything bad about our products. And then they would be the first ones to say something bad about somebody else's products. When you watch them while they're coming up, they're full of drama. That is what they're all about. They're arrogant as hell. They're starting all kinds of drama. I even had drama started with me by one of them, and I'm like, you can go back to hell where you come from. I can see right through this. And what it comes down to is, do not say a bad word about their products. Just don't do it. Because they're not man enough to take it and say, you know what? Not going to be able to please everybody, but if there's a problem with our product, let's explore. No, they can't do that. But they would be the first ones to say, okay, I tried this product, and badmouth them. Well, then you find out that the reason they're bad-mouthing that other product is because they have their own plans for a product, so they have to cut out the competition. Then they got into the business of, we're going to make our own product, so we're going to make money. And then they got into the business of, we're going to cash in on pushing other people to make their own products. Now that I've stepped back, it doesn't take a rocket science to see who the problems are. It definitely doesn't take a rocket scientist to see who the problems are. The problem children have problems. They've got the biggest names. They claim to have the biggest reputations. They claim to have this and that and everything else. And their goal is not to help you. Their goal is to sucker you. But then they did something that I found not only unethical, but completely immoral. They started using people. They started using people. They wanted to use these people to build themselves into this. Okay? And that some of those people have caught on. They've caught on. I'm glad that they did. But some of them have not. And the reason why is all up here. It's all up here, the attention. They need the attention. And if they can't get that attention in regular every day, they've got to get that attention elsewhere. And so then they fall on social media platforms, and then they become something big because they're being used by the group of people that you chose on social media. Then what they do is they start pulling in other people that they think will be the voice. And then those people turn into major con men. But see, if you weren't desperate in the first place, you would have seen the con man from day one. I saw it. I saw it to the point I wasn't going to follow that channel. But see, that's what happens when you have a little bit of critical thinking. That's what happens when you start realizing, these people they're really bad. And then you realize that the big names that are trying to use all these people, they are not only full of drama, but they're arrogant AF. Arrogant. Think that they are the shit. They're going to dominate. They're going to take over everything. But in the end, still, it comes down to their products. The big names have all the products. And again, the big names who have all the products can't handle the criticism. You can always, when you start a product, you can always look at possibly 50-50. Okay? 50% of the people are going to love it. 50% of the people are not. They're going to have some problem with it. I've noticed that these big names, here's how they get out of my product is potentially a problem. And rather than fix the problem, which they can't do, because in their minds, if they fix the problem, that's admitting guilt admitting that your product isn't tip top and you can't do that. So then what do? They start sending cease and desist letters. And then they start bad mouthing. It's user error. I'm sorry. If anybody's going to ever use a product, it's probably going to be me. And I didn't have too many problems, but there were products that I didn't really care for. I didn't like the way they felt. I didn't like the way they smelled. I didn't like the way they worked. I didn't like the streaks they were leaving. It was not user error. But that's the big excuse. Anyway, so when a YouTuber makes a video about these products and something is not quite right, something is not quite meshing here, it is our responsibility as the YouTuber trying these products to bring everybody the truth. That is our responsibility. There is a ton of review videos on my channel. I would put up a review even if I didn't have the best experience. Not because I am bad-mouthing that product, and yeah, you have to admit there is a way to do it. Not because you're bad-mouthing that product, but because you are bringing in the reality of what you are experiencing, and that is our freaking job. But the big names can't handle that, can you? You just can't seem to handle that. So one guy, he's got a problem with one of the products. Instead of the big name behind it coming to him and saying, what do you think we need to do? Tell me more about your problems. And then go back and say, here's a problem that we had. Look at the math elements. Weather, the elements in the weather, the elements of where the car was. Is it garage kept? Is it out in the driveway? Is it in full sun? Is it in the shade? You know, there's so many different mathematical equations there. But rather than go to him and say, tell me all of the factors involved, and have a list of questions so that you can make sure that this was not your product, rather than just pulling up them balls and saying, no, my product is freaking perfect. You decide you're going to use another detailer to be the fall guy, and he puts out a hit piece on that other guy. Because you ain't got the fucking balls to do it your damn self. Because he did it right. He did it right. He did it the right way. He brought the receipts, is what he did. So rather than just accept the fact that there was a problem, a customer had a problem, it's not user error. We know that for a fact. This guy is not new to the business. It's not user error. You can't send a cease and desist letter because he didn't do anything wrong, and he's got proof all the way back to the very first time he used that product. But rather than just accept that as, okay, shit, we got a problem. I got to make sure that it's not the product. If it is, I got to fix it. You go and you enlist the help of a shit-ass con man and let that MFer put a video up, a big old hit piece to that poor guy. And you think that's going to be okay. How'd that work out for you? Because that post got taken down. How'd that work out for you? See, I'm sitting on the outside of things now. And I can see things. I can see clearly now. The rain is gone. Let me finish this video with one thing. Let's put aside what these big names and detailers and blah, blah, blah and drama are doing. Let's put away the arrogance. Let's put away the drama. Let's put away the crap They wouldn't act that way if it wasn't for 90% of the viewers. And that, my friends, is it. Because the viewers are fueling that. They are victim of the arrogance. They don't have the mental capacity to see what's up. The viewers are doing that. If the viewers didn't feed into that bullshit, it wouldn't be happening. It simply would not be happening. And that, my friends, is the reason that social media is not always your frickin' friend. Because in the end, it comes down to the people watching those videos. The viewers, you should have seen right through that con man, number one. And you should have seen that that con man was put up to be the fall guy. And with that, I'm going to leave it at that. A detailing community, y'all done lost your fucking minds. And that's what it comes down to. Thank frickin' God I am not a part of that. Thank God I am not a part of that. But there is a group of people out there who are doing their level best, trying to tear down everybody. They're trying to hone into other people's vulnerabilities. But if you were real men, let me tell you what you would have done. There's a female involved in that. You would have protected her ass from the get-go. But you didn't do that, did you? Because it was all about the Benjamins. Just saying. Peace out, bitches.